Hi, my name's Shannon Shackelford, and today we're going to talk about the Great Depression. Well, actually, it wasn't very great. Maybe we should call it the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Depression. So what caused the terrible depression to happen? Well, there was more than one event that occurred prior to 1929 that caused the Great Depression. Number one, remember in World War I that America was shipping supplies, food, weapons, and ammunition across the Atlantic to help the Allies? Well, we shipped more than that. Over the course of the war, we loaned over $10 billion to the Allies with the hopes that they would pay us back after the war. Well, guess what? They didn't have the money to pay us back because they'd spent all their money, plus our billions, on to pay their own soldiers and to feed them and feed their whole populations. The only country that repaid its debt to us was Finland. Way to go, Finland. Good job. Oh, it's time for today's open letter. An open letter to money. But first, let's see what's in today's secret cabinet. Oh, Lauren's soccer ball. That brings back great memories. An open letter to money. Dear money, why do you have to be so fundamental to our way of life? Why can't we just go back to bartering? I give you 4 beaver pelts, you give me your stomach puppy. Best wishes, Shannon Shackelford. A second cause of the horrible depression was the fall to the Federal Reserve, which was created by Congress in 1913 to create the money supply and to help the American banking system. The Federal Reserve had the power to change interest rates, and during the years of 1928 and 1929, leading up to the stock market crash in October of 1929, they raised the rates 4 times, from 3.5% to 6%. I mean, really? Did you know that they still have this power today? In fact, in the wake of the coronavirus, President Trump has directed the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates to possibly as low as 1.5%. Miss Shackelford! Yes, 7th grade me. Wouldn't that make the country start losing money and spiral into a recession? How very ignorant of you. Haven't you been listening? Actually, lower interest rates means more money in our pockets, so we can spend money on the things that we want. The third big cause, though the causes of the Great Depression are still debated today, was the request of the American companies to protect American businesses and primarily American-made products by passing tariff legislation. The worst of these tariffs was the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act signed by President Hoover in 1931. The idea was that when goods were imported to the states, a tariff would be slapped on them, making them more expensive and causing people to look to American-made goods instead because they didn't have this extra fee of the price of the item attached to them. But this plan backfired because when other countries started realizing America was placing tariffs on their goods, they did the same thing to American imports in their countries, and somehow it hurt us worse than it hurt them. So say, for example, we have imported Swiss watches from, guess where? Switzerland, right. They would put a tariff on those watches, which caused them to be more expensive. But in the big picture, a 10% tariff on a $100 watch isn't that big a deal. It just makes it $110. The problem is that Switzerland was importing American cars, and they weren't paying $100 for that car. They were paying between $1,000, $5,000, maybe even $10,000. And a 10% tariff on a $5,000 car increases the price by $500. That's a lot more of a tax than $10 on a little old watch. These 3 issues were the main causes of the Depression, which in turn caused unemployment rates to skyrocket. And Hoover came through with too little too late. Democrat Franklin Delano Roosevelt came on the scene and campaigned against large government in Hoover's administration. And then he made government larger after he was elected. Even after FDR's election, the unemployment rate continued to spiral. It never got below 14%, and the Depression continued. Crash Course was produced and directed by John Shackelford, written by Shannon Shackelford. This video is only possible because of the coronavirus. If we weren't stuck in our homes, we'd be talking about the horrible Depression together in our classroom. Cut. Just whenever. Oh, it's time for the secret letter. Is that right? It's open letter. Okay, so can we do the other 2 secret compartments?
Sure. We'll just do it in this table.
Yeah. Just whenever. let's see what's in today's secret cabinet. Paper towels? I am taking these home with me. Oh, it's time for today's open letter. Letter to money. But first, let's see what's in today's secret cabinet. Okay, I'm assuming we're done. Secret cabinet. Hand sanitizer. This is going on with me. Cut. Remember in World War I that America was shipping... Okay.